Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Cheyenne Isabel Wells about Grease: The Rise of the Pink Ladies, premiering on Paramount Plus April 6th. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I mean, it's crazy because for projects like this, like I remember when this project was announced.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like even before you were cast, like I remember this was announced, and now like very soon people are gonna be able to see it. Like, is it starting to sink in a little bit that it's coming up pretty soon?
A little bit. Once stuff starts getting released, that's when I start feeling like, oh, it's coming. It's almost here. But it still doesn't feel real yet. But we're very, very close.
And it's crazy because, you know, people are going to see it. And, you know, even if you're a fan of Grease, if you're not a fan of Grease, I always feel like it's interesting because you're going to have the fans of the movies and the musical, which is amazing. But I feel like it's a cool, exciting thing for you in the cast where this is an opportunity for new fans of Grease to kind of come into play. Do you think about that at all? That there's like two possible fans that can watch the show?
Oh yeah, for sure. All the time. It's a little nerve-wracking, especially for the old fans, because like everybody's like a huge fan of Grease, right? But I'm really excited to tell the story, and I'm really excited for everybody and to bring in the new fans that are gonna love it, you know?
Okay, so I find it interesting. The audition process always amazes me. So, like, what can you because I feel like it's different every project. Sometimes they tell you a lot, sometimes they tell you nothing. So, like, how much did you know about the audition for Rise of the Pink Ladies? Like, did you know enough? Or, like,
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know too much. It was a little bit of a unique experience for me. I originally got the audition and I was like, oh, Grease, cool. Read the first episode, fell in love with it. But once I did that, I was actually told no after it happened. And my managers were very much, like, it's okay. Next one, we'll see what happens, And then literally like a month later, or not a month, maybe a couple weeks, I got an email saying the next day you have a director session. And I was like, what? I completely left this out of my mind. Like whenever I get an audition, if I don't get it, it's gone, And so the next day I got it ready. I did it. And then literally found out I was testing and then tested the next week. And it was super fast after that. But it was super weird because it was just so last minute and all of it was done on Zoom. So there was no chemistry reads in person. Everything was all chem reads on Zoom. So it was like, are we going to match? I don't know. But
did it feel like there was a balance with it being like a TV show and it being kind of a musical as well? So like the singing and the dancing and then the actual kind of acting component of it? Because I always find that interesting because maybe some projects feel like it's more of a musical. Maybe some feel like it's more, I want to focus on like the acting component. Like, did you feel a balance in the script of both of them?
Not really at first. When we were auditioning, it was more of like, okay, this is like strictly acting. We're figuring out if we could act. I mean, we did have a music audition, like we had to sing. They did give us a dance audition, but that was mostly for testing, like towards the end. But yeah, at first it definitely felt like, oh, this is just another TV show audition.
Can we give a shout out to the crew? And the cinematographers and everyone because, trailers are coming out. I mean, a couple of days ago, a whole number was posted on YouTube, actually. Grease of the World was posted. And, it just looks unbelievable. Like, we got to give a shout out to the crew and the cinematographers.
Oh, yeah. Our first cameraman, Andy, he was absolutely incredible. Olivia had a beautiful vision for the whole thing and it really came together. And that's why like whenever we post the trailers and stuff, I'm like, I want the full screen because it's just so beautiful. And everyone worked so hard on it, especially like Jamal Sims, like with the choreography. It was just every time we'd see something like backstage, right? I'm still in like theater mode, but at like Video Village, we would go and watch, especially Tricia's, who plays Nancy, her little moment with her green thing. It was so gorgeous. And I mean, it all came out beautifully.
It's so awesome. And Were you starting to get used to all the waves of like the announcements? Because kind of like what I said, like I remember when this was announced, and then it was announced that, you know, you were joining the cast, and then it was announced that there were like photos because you're filming it, and then there was like the release dates, and then it's like first look photos, and then like trailer and all that, right? Like it's like waves, right? Of like a show getting disseminated into the world. Like it's kind of crazy, right?
For sure, yeah. I mean, it's like as it keeps going during the moment, the day of, or like a couple days after, it's like, oh, whoa, it's coming, and then it's kind of like, okay, well, we're waiting now for the next thing to come out.
It's really interesting because I look at this show and I feel like everyone that's kind of evolved from this from an acting perspective, there's like familiar territory and unfamiliar territory because we're going back, right? This is like the rise of the Pink Ladies, and there are, you know, like newer characters and people that we don't know and everything. And like, so we know Grease, but we don't know Rise of the Pink Ladies. And I think that's kind of a very interesting, unique situation you were all in as like from a storyteller perspective. Do you think about that at all? Because I find that's a really interesting thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a completely new story. It's how the Pink Ladies were formed. So, it's also nice though to have like the piece that is still there, or like that was already there, like the T-Birds, they're there, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely like a weird feeling. It's all new stories, it's all new drama, and it's fun.
This is an important question, and I'm going to ask it very slowly. Did you get to keep the jacket?
Oh man, no, we did not.
Man!
I know, it's so sad, but you know, hopefully one day we'll get it.
Knowing the impact though and everything, what was that like putting on that jacket? Like, I'm just curious about that specifically.
It was incredible. I mean, we had like fittings obviously for it, and it was completely deconstructed. It wasn't even like a jacket at all. And so even the first time putting it on, I was like, whoa, this is gonna be the Pink Ladies jacket. Cool. I did get a little emotional the first time I put it on. It's like, oh my gosh, we are Pink Ladies. Like, this is a huge thing, and we're a part of it. It's crazy. And then the first time that we all put it on together when it was finally finished, we put it on set right before we were going to film with it. And we all just like hugged, and it was like, so crazy.
From an acting perspective and a storyteller perspective, because Cheyenne Isabel Wells is a storyteller, that's what you do basically, whether it's theater, whether it's stage, whether it's a TV show, it's storytelling. You're a storyteller. You're a storyteller with a pink jacket. Is it all storytelling for you, or like, you know, origins? Because origin stories is sometimes a very interesting, unique way of telling stories, because it's like you're basically taking these monumental characters, and this is how it kind of all started. But then there's like, you know, the standard kind of present time and everything. Is it all storytelling for you, or is the mindset different?
It kind of goes back and forth. I feel like there's definitely scenes where I'm like, okay, I'm storytelling in this. And then there's a lot of me and Olivia, a lot of a side that I don't usually show. So it's kind of fun to bring that out. But yeah, I feel like there was definitely times where it was like, okay, I'm just kind of here. Like, I'm kind of doing the origin story of like whatever, but
yeah, it's interesting. And, you know, to add to that and everything, there are ensemble casts, and then there's ensemble cast, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, what was it like kind of working with everyone? And what's it like having a character, you mentioned Olivia, like this character has a lot of moments with, not all characters, but there is a lot of these kind of interactions with a lot of different characters throughout the series. So what is that like? Because I find that really interesting.
I love it. I think it's so awesome. Every single like person and cast member in the show is so incredibly good. I mean, even the background actors, even the dancers, like who have little characters, they're so incredible, and they absolutely just kill it. But interacting with different characters, it's fun. Like, especially some of like the nerd characters, it's fun. And I mean, we don't see Olivia in the first couple episodes do a lot, but she definitely delves into a lot of different people throughout the season.
Yeah, it's interesting because I feel like that's one of the craziest things too. You can like Because I've talked to some people that have been in like Ensemble Cast, right? And then everyone says they always ask, like, how is it like working with this person? And they were like, I actually never got a chance to work with that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's super crazy. I mean, it's, people use the word like iconic, timeless to kind of describe Grease, you know what I mean? And I find it interesting because we're gonna go back to theater. I didn't perform as an actor in theater productions at my school, but I was stage crew. So I was the follow spot operator and I was the light board operator. I gotta tell you, there is the day of a performance, there's something about it. Not even like a couple hours before. Like you wake up, you're like, oh, we're performing a show tonight. Like there's this like energy in the air, right? Do you know what I mean by that?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Every time. I mean, I used to work at Disneyland and do performing there, and it was like every time I about to get on stage, it's like, there's just an energy there all the time.
It is, but the thing is, it's like some people say like when like even when bands play, they're like they do their thing during the day, and it's like an hour or two before. Me, it's like I woke up and I'm like having breakfast. I'm like, oh, we're like performing tonight. Like, this is pretty awesome. Like at 9 hours, like it still hits me. You know what I mean? There's a while before the performance.
Yeah, it's definitely always in my mind. Yeah. And I get the worst nerves, like really badly. So I have to like try to calm myself down. But like anything that I do, I get nervous, and it's like, that's like the type of energy that's like coming up inside of me.
No, but you know what? When I first started kind of doing interviews, there definitely was like the nerves, but it just kind of like if you don't think about it at all, you just kind of do it, and it's just like, oh wait, I just did like 10 interviews in a week. Like I'm fine.
I guess it's done now, right?
Gotta ask, any cool, fun on-set or off-set stories that you could share? Like, was there kind of night shoots? There's gonna be some night shoots. Night shoots is when a lot of where things that aren't supposed to be funny are funny for like an hour. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh man.
Any stories on the top of your head?
Yeah, maybe a couple. Our night shoots were long ones, and it was freezing because we were filming in Vancouver, so it was so cold all the time. But yeah, I mean, a lot of our night shoots, we would get a little delirious in the middle of the night, and we'd just start blasting music, and we'd have huge dance parties inside the tent. And literally, I think every single night shoot, we had a huge dance party. I mean, even on regular shoots, we were like, okay, we need energy, especially because Grease, they always said for us, Grease energy, you have to have it, and it's always so big. And so every time, there's definitely many pictures of us sitting in our chairs just asleep and out, but then turn on that music and everybody's up and we're dancing.
Okay, so I'm curious about these dance parties. So this is interesting. So did you keep it in the era of Grease, or did it kind of change? Or did you guys get a little? Did you guys get a little crazy and like do like some current time?
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, it was definitely current times. I think that kind of woke us up and being like, all right, feels like we're at a club. All right, let's get up and let's.
Was there any karaoke at all? Even like just going out with the cast karaoke, because I feel like
that would be right.
Well, no, I love karaoke.
I do too. Oh my gosh, my friend has like a huge list of just a whole thing of karaoke whenever we go out.
I know my three go-to karaoke songs. Would you like to hear it?
Let's see. What is it?
"Living on a Prayer" by Bon Jovi.
Yes.
"All the Small Things" by Blink-182.
Wow.
And "Since You've Been Gone" by Kelly Clarkson.
That's definitely my favorite.
Those are like the perfect ones.
Always. You have to do something that everybody could sing, right? Because it's just fun that way.
You know what's pretty crazy is, and like that's why I got really excited when I saw it. Like the Grease Frankie Valli song from the original movie is like probably one of my favorite songs ever. Like I think about that all the time. Like I actually like think about that. Like that's a really good tune.
Yeah. Honestly, I always say, like, I mean, my favorite song always changes, but that's definitely a go-to for me. Grease is the word. Come on. Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. And then like, cause like I was waiting for that trailer to drop. Like I was, like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was, right? And and then you see that, because you don't know much. You don't know, like, you read about it, and then, but at the end of the day, you don't read about it because you want to kind of be surprised at everything, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, and then you see, like, Grease is the World. It's like, oh my God, like, they're using that song. It's a new version. Like, wow.
Yeah, it was super fun recording it too, because it's like got to do like our own little thing, and it's a little more upbeat than the original, like kind of fast paced. So I mean, that was cool to kind of bring our own little thing to it.
And very quickly before we wrap up too, do you feel like there's going to be kind of this like partnership and tag team with like people are going to watch Rise of the Pink Ladies and then do a Grease marathon? Like, that's cool to think about too, right? Like, I'm like that. Yeah.
Gosh, I hope so. I really do. That'd be so fun, right?
I know, it'd be so fun. And, you know, April 6th, Grease Rise of the Pink Ladies on Paramount Plus. It's coming out so soon. Cheyenne, thank you so much for your time. This was so great chatting with you.
Yes, it was so nice to meet you. Thank you again.
No problem. So yeah, like we said, on Paramount Plus, April 6th. Where can people keep up to date and follow you? Is there an Instagram account they can kind of keep up to date with specifically?
Yeah. Cheyenne Isabel. So just
Perfect.
go ahead and
So they can check that out. Awesome. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative. Previous episodes. You can, of course, catch Cheyenne Isabel Wells in Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies, streaming April 6th on Paramount Plus. Until next time, Cheyenne and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.